All right, guys, the end of our broadcast is upon us. We've got one last game, the third match in this best-of-3 between Johnny's Revenge and MVP.Phoenix. I'm Zyori, joined once again by Blaze, and boy, this series, two very quick games to get things started. Game 1, Johnny's Revenge, domination. Game 2, MVP.Phoenix, complete domination. Blaze, who is going to take this series?
Don't ask me that question, man. You saw those games. There is no way to be sure of anything at this point. Like the way, if I had to give an edge to a team, I would say probably MVP.Phoenix, because they, generally speaking, when you start off with a game number 1 and you have a lot of issues, but it's like an obvious issue that you can fix, and then you bring it into game 2 and you just dominate, you feel like you have the momentum behind you. You feel like, okay, this problem has been solved. Let's just win the match. But at this point, it's now down to a best of 1, and it's just whoever really executes their early game more appropriately, especially with these picks in mind, is going to be able to take it away, and I could not call it if I tried.
Yeah, we will get the privilege of seeing Lycanthrope here. Void has been banned out in one of the first banning couplets, which we've seen a little bit here or there, but Lycan has been one of the heroes that is just consistently every single game. So that will be sort of the wild card in this best of 1, as you so succinctly put it. Once again, Warlock banned out, the respect ban against MVP.Phoenix. It's worked, well, it worked in one of the 2 games. Why not do it again? Razor Shadow Shaman, the opener for MVP.Phoenix. Blaze, why am I not surprised?
Because it seems to be just like, no, it's not even these teams. It's like every team in the tournament.
Yeah.
But we got the chance for Shadow Shaman not to be involved, and then they just delayed it a little bit. So yeah. It's not too surprising to see that come through. The wards are just such an effective cooldown, and although we did see some difficulty with the Shadow Shaman and his placement across the map early, it didn't seem to make much of a difference.
Now, I'm going to make a really bold prediction here. I'm going to go ahead and say that Winter is going to play Tidehunter.
I don't know. You got a whole ban phase to get through, man. You think you can hold to that?
I don't know. We'll see. Viper, the third ban for MVP.Phoenix, and this time Johnny's Revenge will be the ones to ban out the Treant. They were the ones that were successful with him in the first match of this series against the tri-lane of MVP.Phoenix. But here, they don't want to taste of their own medicine. With the Lycan, I guess, they'll do some pushing here, and they want to make sure that that pesky Treant's living armor will not get in their way.
Yeah, in this position, I would say that the Treant is certainly more valuable for MVP.Phoenix because the Razor loves to be on the front line and loves to just tank up through the damage. The Wolves don't hit for anything when the living armor is active, so just blocks out that damage 100%, and I can see a lot of value in that. And yeah, they just want to say, go ahead. We're looking at early game. We want to make sure that the heroes that need to die quickly. And that's going to be great when they can have a maximum movement speed hero with crit, hitting on a hero that isn't sustaining. Still have things like the Abaddon in the pool, but haven't seen really that kind of strategy come out for a team like MVP.
Yep. And, all right, Ember Spirit. Oh, and the Centaur is banned out. Of all the heroes still in the pool, there's a Skywrath floating around. Winter's Tidehunter, which he's played, I think, in almost every game we've seen so far. There was one game where Tide was banned out, and he was forced to play a Mirana, I think. But as you mentioned, since Batrider's kind of fallen off of the hype train he was once on, Tide has taken his place in Winter's heart.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's been to great effect. I mean, his Ravages are nearly impeccable, and they have done a lot of great work with it to get to this point. The semifinals here, the last game to decide if they're going to be going to the finals to decide if they're qualifying. But yeah, in this position, the Centaur and Lycan synergy is kind of interesting because there seems to be some overlap with Shapeshift and the Stampede, but in fact, it actually allows his team to keep up with him quite effectively when the Centaur can pop the Stampede right when Lycan wants to go in, and he's not kind of going all in by himself. Along with that, Centaur's a great hero for going in and fighting 4v4s, 4v5s, a really great initiator that can buy Lycan space to push towers solo and to go for Roshan.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You don't often think about Lycan having that movement speed where the rest of his team can't keep up, and that is an issue that Centaur solves. But we'll see. MVP.Phoenix thinking about this third pick quite carefully. Still very open-ended with Razor Shadow Shaman. They could move into more of an all-in pushing draft, 2 heroes that synergize well with that. Or they could just spread it out and, you know, take a more standard lineup and reap the benefits of the little bit of pushing power that Shadow Shaman brings to the table. Only time will tell.
Definitely. So we're going to see this
Ooh.
Lord come out once again. It was quite effective for QO last time around. Got a relatively early Blink Dagger, was able to maneuver. As far as the laning phase go, it was essentially a 2 versus 1 for the earlier part of it. Death Prophet wasn't able to contest him in his farm so much. And the Ancient Apparition, we were talking about the counter. We were talking about that Ice Blast. He never got even to level 6.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
That's the answer. You counter the counter by just never letting Ancient Apparition get an ultimate.
Yeah, on paper, AA works pretty well against Slark, but if you ball that far out of control and shut down the Ancient Apparition, yeah, fair enough. Sharky had a couple of big plays and a couple of small plays that last game with some awkward positioning, so yeah, could have gone better for him. Johnny's Revenge will opt for the Enchantress, a hero that I think we got to see yesterday once, but we haven't seen a hell of a lot of her throughout this tournament, and especially in the SEA region on this current patch. Still synergizes well with the push, works well with Lycan, and she is a very aggressive hero that can get active early on.
Yeah, in my experience, it's Johnny's best hero on Radiant. Going into the Radiant jungle, getting access to all the camps, and being able to gank and push actively, Johnny can do a wonder on that hero, and we'll see if it's sprung-tastic enough to kill off the Timber Saw, kill off some towers, and gain the momentum they so sorely need.
Well, now we've got a Timbersaw pick from MVP.Phoenix. A pretty strong hero against Lycan, just kind of in general, especially now that Shapeshift was nerfed to not give Lycan all that extra HP to tank him up. Timbersaw is actually a serious threat against him, but there's your 4th pick Invoker. And when you don't ban him out, you can bet that Paulson will pick him up, and that was part of the huge lead they got early on in Game 1 was because of Paulson's Invoker. It was banned out in Game 2 when MVP.Phoenix took a victory. So it could work well here. And another hero that synergizes with the push that Johnny's Revenge are amassing. There's the Tide Hunter ban.
Yeah, there it is indeed. But yeah, I think the Polason Invoker, if it wasn't banned out, it would have actually contributed a lot to the early game with Sunstrikes that he's just spot on in. And of course, they had the setups. Oh my gosh.
The MEEPO. You mentioned it last game with the early Ancient Apparition pick potential on Johnny's Revenge, but the MVP.Phoenix MEEPO, wow. Is this a support MEEPO, though? It looks like it might be.
Yeah, I can't see it going any other way. So it's a
Support
weird, it's a
Timbersaw,
different way
yeah.
to play it.
I think it has to
obviously,
be a support.
Fnatic has proven that it is effective in its own right.
Mm-hmm. Semi-viable. A pick out of left field here, though.
5 seconds.
I don't know. I mean, what do you think? What's your take on this MVP.Phoenix draft? It's definitely atypical for most things we're seeing in the meta right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's difficult to go up against a powerful Enchantress as a MEEPO because of the pure single target damage, just impetus over and over. That's like 4 or 5 strikes and MEEPO's gone. Mm-hmm. And his high magic mitigation is not going to help him there. But I don't know. In a supportive role set, I'm trying to see the value. The Earthbind is great against like in Shapeshift. The surge mechanic as well. There's just the aspect of maximum movement speed won't be an issue if you can get the root on them. And Reason is a very flexible player that seems to be able to master every hero he attempts, and they wouldn't have picked it for him if he didn't have some skill behind it.
Yeah, certainly right about that. Darkseer, final choice for Johnny's Revenge. Another hero we haven't seen a hell of a lot of, so this Game 3 will be interesting for an array of reasons. MEEPO's one of them, but some other fun picks here.
Wow. Very active game ahead of us, and
yeah,
we'll have to see. The one thing that I really don't like about support MEEPO is how much he can actually take away from his team, experience-wise, because once he starts building up the clones, each MEEPO clone is actually considered a hero as far as experience distribution. So if there's 3 heroes and 3 MEEPO clones, MEEPO's taking half the experience gain of those heroes in that cluster, and that is great for MEEPO. He gains a lot of momentum, but in a supportive sense, that's actually detracting a lot of what you can do with a high-level Timbersaw, high-level Razor, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a good thing to point out. The last few times I've seen MEEPO, it's been all about the carry. It's like Excalibur and that style of play. I have not casted a support MEEPO in quite some while. I am very curious to see how this works out for MVP and exactly how they choose to lane it. They've got a couple of options with who they want to send mid, although it appears they will once again go for a 5-hero jungle invade. So we'll have to be a little more patient before we see how the lanes settle down. Ryzen starts off with 2 GG branches and some consumables here. March with pretty much the same thing. Maybe QO in the front lines. Will they find anyone with this invade is the question. Sharky with boots first on the Rubik could be a likely target, but the boots should give him a nice edge here. Paulison will be safe lane on this Invoker, it looks like. And he won't get jumped.
Yep, so MVP is moving about right now trying to get wards down. They have an observer ward to scout as well as block off the pole camp, but it's really where they put the other wards that's most important. The sentry ward here, not the easiest to de-ward, and certainly blocking off this most important camp for Radiant and Enchantress. She needs that central camp. The hard creeps are stronger, and it's just in a better position to be more active on the bottom lane. So here, she's going to be mostly focusing on the western front and trying to go ahead and help out the mid lane, which is going to be the Lycan, in fact. So going through a formal introduction for these covered the side of JR, right?
I haven't. No, we haven't introduced.
Okay, we're just kind of discussing item progression then.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll open up with Johnny's Revenge here, looking at the off lane Darkseer. It's going to be played by Winter here. It is going to be in the mid lane Lycan, played by Chibi, Chibi X. And then the supportive staff is going to be Johnny on the Enchantress, with Heen actually flanking him, and probably just going to body block this camp. So annoying, but effective because it might be able to waste a sentry. Anyways, beyond that, we are going to be seeing the other support be played by Sharky. That is the Rubik, and then he's going to be supporting Polosan on this Exhort, Safely and Invoker.
Yeah. So first camp is blocked by the body, as you mentioned. Enchantress finds Mud Golems. Ooh, icky. And her other big camp is completely blocked. This is a rough start for Johnny. Definitely far from ideal. And also interesting to note that MVP.Phoenix committed both of their observers to the Radiant jungle. One to block the pole camp, and then one right smack dab in the middle. So no rune vision to start things off, and with that, Johnny will just smoke, walk across the river, and move into dire territory.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much potential to bring down QO, so he definitely wants to just kind of subtly move on into the enemy territory. But we're going to see a bit of a MEEPO versus Enchantress matchup in this jungle environment, because MEEPO is so reliant on stacking early to gain golden experience for himself that he's going to actually get some face time with Enchantress very soon, and we'll have to see how effective it turns out to be.
Yeah, she grabs a Centaur here with her first camp and bumps into another set of Mud Golems before finding another set of Centaurs. So maybe Johnny can do something with a double Centaur, 2 War Stomps, and find some aggression to make up for this really slow start he's found. Other lanes, I guess we should look at the dire side to introduce who's going on. Forev will be in the bottom lane on the solo Timbersaw. It is QO in the mid on the Slark once again. He is joined by Heen playing on the Shadow Shaman, and another repeat offender from last game. Ryzen on the support MEEPO here up top, and March is on the position 1 Razor in the safe lane. Of course, dire top. Here, Johnny trying to get aggressive. Double Centaurs ready with the War Stomps. Can he find it on the March? Winter already has the Ion Shell. Surge as March heads away from the Centaurs, just trying to dodge the stuns right now. Sunstrike will fly. It'll be on the money. First blood's drawn as Winter punches him once more on Ishkafel the Darkseer.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised that he didn't go for the Surge on the Centaur just to guarantee that stomp, but obviously didn't need it as he just moves in, is able to close the distance, burn him down. And, of course, Invoker can benefit a lot with his contribution there. So he's going to actually, we're going to see Chibi pick up the bottom Illusion Rune here. A little bit of push potential behind that, but being at only level 3, it's probably just going to be used to harass a little bit here onto QO, who won't be able to fill up his bottle.
Yeah. The Lycan versus Slark has been going way the favor of Slark, but more of that is because Heen has been in the lane, and it's been kind of a 2v1 in the jungle. March will bump right into Johnny, forces out the Nature's Attendants, but this should be a kill. It sure is. March solos him down after getting 112 extra damage from level 2 Static Link. Poor Enchantress will get sproinked back into the well.
Yeah, we'll buy his boots before he falls so he won't lose gold on it, but just having that movement speed disadvantage did cost him, and he seemed to opt for the Attendants over the Untouchable, which I'm not sure if either one of them would have saved him from that situation. Obviously, the Attendants didn't help too much.
Yeah, the Attendants healed him up a pinch, but even just level 1 Untouchable. Sure, it's annoying to the Razor, but not crippling, and with all that stolen damage, would have been able to bring him down, I think, undoubtedly. Paulison so far is the big breadwinner, though. He is 19-5, farming away in the safe lane against Forev's Timbersaw, who is getting completely wrecked right now. 0-0. He is level 4, but just can't find a last hit to save his life. Will get caught now as he timber chains away. Telekinesis straight into the Sunstrike, and Paulison gets another one on the scoreboard. That makes it 2-1.
Very well played. In the meantime, the Illusion Runes from Chibi are putting pressure onto QO here. He finally gets his bottle back up and available, but he just needs this level 6 so bad. Actually going to use the Pact, and they're going to try to go in with Raisin, but he can't get in range for the Earthbind just yet. There's the pounce, and the binds will come forth.
QO needs to be careful. He's on the run. The Wolves will chase him down as he sips the bottle. Second Earthbind flies. Do they have the damage to bring down Chibi, though? Telekinesis onto QO as they join the party. Ace Rune onto Johnny. Where are the attendants? You could be saving Chibi right now. Instead, he goes to the high ground, and Ryzen will end up taking a fall. It looks like the Sunstrike's just barely off the mark. They pick off the MEEPO. Lycan gets credit for the kill, but I'm surprised Johnny with the Haste Rune didn't try to save his Lycan there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think he was just so focused on bringing down the MEEPO as quickly as possible that he didn't even consider how desperately Chibi needed his resources. But in this case here, at least, yeah, it definitely could have contributed, and it probably would have saved his life. But in that situation, he just tunnel visioned a little bit. But I still think they're okay with that exchange in the end. I mean, right now they're gaining more control over the map as a whole. I mean, obviously, like you said, Polison's doing fine in CS, and the fact that they're forcing people away from the top lane gives Winter a little bit more face time with his opposition there. The Rays are going to go for the big leech with that static link, but Iron Shell's still going to be able to do its work when Winter uses that Soul Ring.
Yep, and 42 damage stolen makes Razor's last hitting a little easier, but he's actually struggling a bit in terms of raw CS. We'll see in the mid lane, QO taking a lot of damage from Chibi. The pounce connects, and now he'll pop the shapeshift as he heads out of there. Doesn't want to get caught in the Earthbinds, and he will survive, but just barely. So even though Razor has been harassing back Winter quite a bit, they're pretty even in CS, 17 apiece. So not an easy lane for March up in the top, and of course taking that spill early on did set him back quite a bit. Furthering the gap, though, Paulson at 35 CS. The next highest is only 21.
Yeah. Right now, the tactic of Raisin to gank is to have one MEEPO in a good position, and then when he sees the opportunity, when a pounce comes through, that's when he not only goes for an Earthbind, but poofs in the second MEEPO to go for that Earthbind. And that's what usually will net the kill, if they get that second poof bind. But now we see Sharky surge forward, Telekinesis to bring down March. He should be falling here.
Yep, and even the Sunstrike on the money as they use the Dark Troll Summoners and Snare. QO comes in, Invisibility Rune on. He'll walk right into Sharky, and this should be a kill onto the Rubik. It sure is. MEEPO gets credit for that one as he poofs him down. And it'll be a 1-for-1 trade in the top lane. Position 1 Razor for the support Rubik, though. Johnny's Revenge will be pretty happy with that exchange. And they even create some extra space for Paulson down in the bottom lane now, as Timbersaw has left. Not that Timbersaw was doing too much to slow down his farm, which is going to be a big problem for MVP. Timbersaw right now has 4 last hits. All right, make it 5 in 7 minutes. This is... I mean, Invoker should win the lane against Timbersaw, but I don't know if it should be that lopsided.
Yeah, I don't think the Rubik has contributed so much effort that it should be him getting pretty much nothing from the lane, but at least he can boast that he's gotten the experience. He's about to get his ultimate up, and then Timbersaw can start being very, very active. The one mistake that I'm a little bit uncertain of is MVP just used their fortification for, it wasn't no reason. Lycan was on the tower and was just about to start attacking with wolves, but they had 2 heroes coming in that were not even 1,000 units away, so they could have forced him back, saved that cooldown, and perhaps had it at a better time. But nevertheless, they're making this flank happen. Maybe they'll be able to pick off Chibi in the mid.
Perhaps, and they need it. Chibi's starting to farm out of control, but the pounce will leash. He pops the ultimate, but gets caught in the Earthbind, and that'll be the antidote to the Lycan. As they bring him down, QO gets very low as the Wolves stalk him down. Maybe Lycan can grab a counter kill here. Not enough mana for the pounce. He'll just barely get it. Has some wand charges, so never mind. He'll be just fine unless there's some sort of a gross error here.
Sunstrike? No, it's on cooldown.
Oh, yeah, for another 15 seconds. So, well, needed that kill on the Lycan, though. I was just about to say, MVP.Phoenix are falling pretty far behind pretty quickly. It's already a 2,000 gold deficit. Was upwards of about 3,000 before that kill on the Lycan came out. So steps in the right direction. Next up is the Invoker. He has his Hand of Midas as well as the Phase Boots. There will be a 2-hero rotation to join the Timbersaw. QO with a Haste Rune connects with the Pounce. Pardon me, it's March down here on the Razor. Paulson will try to TP home, but gets interrupted by the Earthbind. Throws down the Sunstrike before he falls, but it's just not enough. And it's another 1-for-0 trade as MVP regains some lost footing.
Yeah, if he had thrown out the Sunstrike just a little bit sooner, then that actually should have been a kill, but he was uncertain about the situation, just went for the TP, which was a smart play, but there was maybe too much damage, and there was certainly an Earthbind to cancel the TP. So in either case, although he didn't know it, he actually almost had a kill if he had acted a little differently. It's just unfortunate. I don't think he should have played it differently, but that's just how Everything falls. Now Forev with his ultimate, looking maybe to bring down Sharky, but as slow as he may be, he's still got Winter to surge him out in a bad situation.
Yep. Sunstrike flies in, hits Heen. A lot of solo damage comes out on the Shadow Shaman.
No, 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 no!
Ooh, that's unfortunate is the word that comes to word there. Wow, nice setup from JR though, and they secure a freebie there on Shadow Shaman.
That was pretty silly. He like hex shackled it, like panic mode supreme. But,
oh boy, it took me a second. Then I was like, oh boy, yep, that's just that's a straight freebie right there. As a winner gets a little boost, and that'll actually put him one step closer to his mech. That's the ideal hero to get that bonus gold on. He's now 150 Gs away from grabbing that recipe. Forev will try and Timber Chain, but Cold Snap, Telekinesis will be more than enough to bring him down. A buyback from Timbersaw. Now that JR overcommitted, MVP joining the party. Earthbinds come out. Winter first to fall after the Rubik. And it will be a 2-for-1 swing. Johnny not out of the clear yet. No points in Untouchable. And yeah, he'll just stand there as he buys some items, grabs the Midas recipe and the TP scroll. So mitigates some of the damages there. But end of the day, it's a 3-for-1 trade and a buyback.
yeah, I don't think the buyback was necessary to get anything out of that, but the fact that they got those 3 kills was still quite beneficial for the team as a whole, and the buyback doesn't really matter too much. So in that position, I think that MVP are actually the ones that have a little bit more control over the current state of the game, but with this mechanism coming up, he's actually selling items. No, what is... Winter just really managed to scold very interestingly. Like, he sold something, then he bought 2 TPs, and he'll be getting that Midas or mechanism in just 400 gold, but...
Wow. He was at 750 a moment ago.
Exactly.
That's... Yeah, that timing is pretty crucial now, especially since there's so much action. 7 to 8 at the 11-minute mark. That's a pretty action-packed game. And even JR are continuing to stay aggressive as they group up about the mid lane. Mech could make all the difference in the world. Rubik will get a steal here with a pardon me, that's the Whirling Death. Never mind. Thought he stole the Chakram. But the big item pickup here on the side of the Dire is in the hands of the Meepo. Ryzen now with a Blink Dagger as he gets bigger and bigger, farming around the map.
Yeah, and essentially this is designed to help Slark with his solo kills. With a QO going in for pickoffs, all he needs is 1 pounce to connect, and we've seen it time and time again. This Meeple is 5-1-1. He can absolutely contribute to these kinds of engages. It looks like Johnny's just going to go down solo to QO as the right click gets stronger with each subsequent attack. The Essence Shift, stealing 6, and now going in, diving deep for Polisong.
Yeah, they know he's around somewhere. They find him in the trees. March gets cold snapped. The Sunstrike flies through, does clip him, but now Ryzen's here. And the Invoker will survive as he TPs home.
So from there, he still hasn't used his Midas yet, but at least he survives and doesn't have to wait the full death time before he gets to use it. He'll make his way to the top lane and find it there. Along with that, Winter has his mechanism recipe coming out. Although I wasn't sure about that, like I said, the gold, but 2 or 3 creep waves and he gets it back anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. And now they can start grouping up together. They can start fighting as a team. Couple of neutral creeps from Johnny, and they should be able to take down a tower.
Another haste rune on QO here. He'll go on to Slarky. The pounce connects, but Sunstrike will fly through. The mech saves Sharky. Now they'll try to turn it around onto QO. He's hasted, but he gets vacuumed back, and they'll bring him down. Johnny secures the kill, but big plays from Winter to make it happen. The mech as well as the vacuum make it a 1-for-0 the other way around. Glyph comes out on the Dire side as all 5 of JR grouped up in the mid. Chakram will tick him down. Forev off to the side, being a little bit careful here as Winter presses forward. Now that the Glyph is down, JR will commit for this tower push. But again, Chakram on 3, doing a huge amount of damage here. MEEPO around the backside. Johnny caught in an Earthbind. He falls to the MEEPO. The tower goes down. It's not denied. But they get a kill on Paulison and JR. They'll get cleaned up here. Only 2 remaining. Rubik will fall to 1 more auto attack. Winter trying to make the escape, but he doesn't have any mana. Has a Soul Ring still available. Timbersaw on the high ground. Earthbind will be off the mark. There's the Chakram. Winter will fall. And 4 heroes on the side of JR go down. Rubik, 32 hit points to spare. It's almost a full team wipe here at the 13-minute mark.
Yeah, and you could say something about the mid to late game presence now that they have a couple of Midases up for JR. The Darkseer is a great late game here with illusions and such, but the thing is they haven't really gotten a chance to use them at all. The Invoker literally transmuted right before he died for the very first time this game, even though he's had the item for 2 minutes straight. Along with that, the Enchantress just now picked it up, and they have a tower to hold.
Yep, wards come down. March taking a lot of damage as the Cold Snap comes out, but uses his mech. It'll keep him alive for now, and Chibi could possibly get turned around on Heen. Throws out a shackle on one of the Wolves, just trying to buy time for March. And now we'll try to TP home. That'll be unsuccessful as it gets interrupted by Winner's Vacuum. And again, 1-0 going the way of JR. Meanwhile, up top, Sharky dove on the tower as Ryzen connects with an Earthbind. Him and QO will make it a 1-for-1 across the map.
Yeah, this is a difficult position. It looks like he's going to be able to heal up with the bottle and get a nice double damage rune, but he's going to... Oh, no, QO's going to get it. Man, that is actually extremely brutal. QO with a double damage rune by comparison to Lycan. Oh, they're going to kill him off? No. The body block! Keep the wolves there, but he's going to pounce up into the river. Good move from QO. And they will not only take the tower, but get out scot-free.
Now on the other side of the fight, Forev hops in. MEEPO joins the party. Invoker gets destroyed by the poofs. There's an Earthbind on Johnny. It should be a 2-0 to start off this fight. Now around the backside. QO finds Winner and Chibi. Pops the double damage rune. Will connect with the first pounce. Wall comes out. QO will bite off more than he can chew. And he falls. Invoker buys back, and that cleans up the Timber Saw as well on the other side of the skirmish. And JR will find some recovery, but it does cost them... oh, no, that's not a buyback. How did Invoker... Oh, I'm so sorry. That was his illusion. That was his Forged Spirits. It's getting late here.
Sure enough, man. But it's been pretty chaotic, to be honest. Like, the MVP's strategy in general is to break up the fights and to cause as much chaos as possible, to make it very difficult for JR to synergize as a team. But even individually, JR actually performed quite effectively in the tail end of that fight. It looked bad at first. They did take some considerable losses, but Darkseer drops the wall. Winter picks up the kill on the Slark, and obviously Rubik performed admirably. If you look at the monster kill streak he ended, that's 1,067 gold for Sharky, and I just can't wait to see what he can do with it.
Ooh, yeah, 1,400 gold up on him. He may just be pulling for a Blink Dagger at this point as he clears up this creep wave. Sort of a core item on Rubik, gives him much more range in terms of the spell steal and more flexibility. He does have a Chakram right now, so pretty happy with the spell he's got in his arsenal. QO in enemy territory will get scouted out and does pounce to safety for now. They will start to pursue before choosing to back up. Forev has made quite the recovery, though. 1-3-5. He's now level 9. You mentioned that experience he was able to grab in lane. Although he didn't get much farm, that experience is kind of all you need on Timbersaw. So you can do the damage, as it were.
Oh, nice kill.
Rasta wards come down. Sharky taking some damage from Heen. He steals the wards and puts them down himself. It will cost him the Shadow Shaman. And JR off to a good start in this fight. March going behind the tower. A couple of skirmishes breaking out at once here. Invoker will get picked off around the side. Chibi does have March completely isolated here. Laying into him as Johnny throws out the impetus. And it will be a 2-for-2. Tower is defended. And Rubik, unfortunately, won't be able to hold the Rasta wards, even though it was a nice steal.
Yeah, I mean, at least you got to cast them. When you see the Hex come out on him, then there's a very frequent that you'll have it and you'll just die with it. But him being able to at least cast that out and then bait March into a corner where he was just unable to escape from the Lycan, tried to TP too late and just got shut down. That's honestly like the best thing that Rubik could have done. He played the bait, he was able to counteract the wards, and that is the highest contribution you can expect at this stage in the game. Not only that, but now he moves up to 2,000 gold, just a few hundred shy of that Blink Dagger.
Now there's a Blink Dagger on Slark as MVP.Phoenix finish off the Tier 1 tower in the mid lane following that skirmish. MEEPO working towards an Ag Scepter, has the point booster and 1,000 in the bank, so only 2K off the mark. And for a support MEEPO, Ryzen is farming pretty damn fast. He's now #1 on net worth on the side of the Dire and nipping at the heels of the Mightiest Invoker, showing by only 200 gold. In the mid, Winner gets jumped on. There's the poof combo. QO to follow up with the Blink. There will be a wall of replica down, but is it enough to get a turnaround kill? Johnny with the impetus, laying into Ryzen, but it's not enough. Slark with a double kill as he chops down the Enchantress. MEEPO will get picked off by the Darkseer illusions, and that makes it a 2-for-1. Still not the engagement that JR was looking for.
Yeah. The individual hero focus from Johnny wasn't great. He impetus like 3 different MEEPOs, but the good thing was that at least the Satyr was on point. Got the shockwave out, and they got the kill that they needed. They need to keep this MEEPO limited, and although his death timer isn't that substantial because as you rank up the ultimate, you get a reduced respawn speed, now 20%, the one thing that he is giving to the side of JR is a ton of experience. If level 15 kill is still level 15 kill, MEEPO or not.
And Dire Structure's fortified as they're hoping for a deny on this top tower, but Chibi will grab it. March connects with a static link, and Chibi will just try to TP out. Can he make it? One more auto attack. Wow. Whoa, what a close call. But Chibi does make it back to the well. Slark was laying into him as well. Gosh, doesn't get much closer than that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he could have shapeshifted or to get the armor or use the power treads to get a little bit of extra HP. But at the spur of the moment, the fastest thing to do is just get the hell out. And he certainly did. Getting the tower in turn, that is exactly what they need to stay in this game. I actually was about to write it off as a win for MVP, but they have made some great strides in the last couple of fights, the last couple of exchanges, and it is pulling them forward quite a bit. Now, don't know what Ferev's up to in his own base, testing out his new Blink Dagger, I suppose. But yeah, we are going to be seeing them make their way down towards the bottom lane, making sure they keep tabs on Roshan at all times.
Yes, indeed. MVP.Phoenix holding on to a 2,000 gold, 7,500 experience lead, but Blink Daggers aplenty. 2 on the side of the Radiant, the Darkseer as well as the Rubik, and now 4 Blink Daggers on the Dire. March is the only one that's not a card-carrying member of the Blink Dagger Club. So look at this reach from MVP. QO, he'll show it off as he hops onto Johnny. Pounce connects. Does he have the damage? No, he doesn't. Johnny TP's out. The mech is there. And QO, he'll easily survive. Still has an ultimate available. And he's not scared. In fact, he'll get aggressive. Pounce won't connect onto Winter, but he does scout it out. The rest of the team on their way in. A simple surge will keep the Darkseer alive, at least for now.
Yeah, and anytime that there's not kills happening, that's JR benefiting long-term from their Midases and holding in till they can get in even better position. Now we see the most annoying thing you've ever seen. Ion Shell on a Lycan Wolf can scout out, invisible, practically immortal with their HP regen, and just stand next to somebody. You can even M-click the target just to have no attack command, but just move commands, and there's no getting away from it. It is the most annoying thing you'll ever see.
Oh, in the mid lane, there's a Winter and Chibi sandwich. QO and Ferev hop on top of him. Mech comes out, that buys him some time, but Winter still falls. He at least makes it a 1-for-1 as Timbersaw gets picked off. The Sunstrike helping him out. Slark gets sandwiched now, and it's a turnaround. 1-for-2 the other way. JR weren't the aggressors, but they come out ahead. Even Shapeshift used as March comes in. He will take a few impetuses to the face. Pops the ultimate. Plasma Field. Sharky, he's stolen the pounce, but he hops right into Ryzen. And that will be the end of Rubik. Johnny trying to TP home. Is there an Earthbind? Doesn't look like it.
Wow.
And the TP will be successful. He had some Earthbinds available, but couldn't get to him in time.
Well, there you go. I gotta say, if there's one thing that's keeping JR in this game, it's the Darkseer mech. Winter has been able to save lives left and right, and in that last time, was actually able to keep the Slark in a position where he was going to be picked off in the end of it. So just by delaying a death, he was actually able to net a kill once they got that Sunstrike telekinesis. Now we see Polasan dropping a huge meatball on top of Heen. He will still get the wards off, but he will fall to the forward spirit, giving the experience to Invoker. Still a nice pickoff for MVP. By comparison, it's a better trade. But with the cooldown on wards, that might cost them some tower damage.
And the tower. Yeah, this is a 1-for-1 trade. Obviously, the support for Invoker is good for MVP, but Invoker gets a kill out of it first, and he got the, well, he didn't get the tower kill, but secured the tower kill, prevented the deny, and the Rasta wards were used. I'd say that's a victory for JR in context of that little exchange.
Yep, now we see some more Iron Shell Wolf play. Just really want to piss off March, but he's going to have a BKB soon. He'll be relatively durable himself. It's actually a very defensive build from the Razor. He's got BKB, Treads, and Mechanism. He is trying to make sure that he gets as much effective HP as possible so that he doesn't need to rely on a draft pick to keep him up. Like I was talking about Abaddon, I was talking about Triant. Just build tanky and try to stay in the fray. So he's going to rely on his teammates to pounce and Earthbind their way to prevent maximum movement speed targets, but otherwise he is going to be very, very effective in his own right.
Double damage MEEPO as they move into the Roche pit. That is a stroke of luck right there. Look how fast Roche melts to the master of the shovel, as now there is an Aghanim Scepter up on the MEEPO, so there's yet another one joining the fray. Chibi in the mid gets Hex to start things off. The mech comes out from Winter once again. Meatball flies through the fight, but BKB's mechanisms on the Dire side popped aplenty. Shadow Shaman, the first to fall, but now the Earthbinds come out. It'll be a dead Enchantress, a 1-for-1, and that's where the fight will settle down for now. Off to the side, Chibi taking some heavy damage from QO. He will try to TP home, but it's not happening. He'll fall. Darkseer will be able to make it out, but it's a 1-for-3 trade. MVP.Phoenix come out way ahead, and now this Tier 2 tower in the mid lane will be fair game.
And the biggest part of that is that the MEEPO did not lose Aegis. Raisin is limping away with his MEEPO Prime down the mid lane here, and is healing up just from 200 HP. If he can get poof back into this fight with full health and the Aegis, they can take the racks right here.
Paulison in trouble. I was thinking maybe a Sunstrike to finish off the MEEPO, but that's not happening. He's focusing on surviving in the short term. Glyph comes out to the Radiant side.
Winter.
Oh.
cleaning up the Slark. He actually vacuumed back out of the pounce. He pounced away, and he got vacuumed back into the tower range. Winter using his fresh Blink Dagger to net a very clean kill. And now Raisin, trying to poof away, will be successful.
Yep, he makes it out. All right, Winter with the big plays. I actually missed that one. I was catching the retreat. I thought Slark was safe and sound, and missed the vacuum. So Winter the playmaker. He really is standing apart this game. It seems every time he pops that mech, it's the difference between life and death and keeps at least someone alive, if not more than one. Now MEEPO picks up a gem. A map control will further in favor of MVP.Phoenix, and JR, they smoke up, recognizing they're at a deficit here. Now about 6,000 gold, 12,000 experience. They will press out and try to take an advantage.
Yeah, they're going to scout out at the very least with the Wolves, and that should give them a pretty good idea of where everybody is positioned. It's unfortunate that the Rubik TP was just a little bit too slow. Okay, he being brought down.
Yeah, they walk right into him, and small kill.
Yeah, that's probably all they're going to be able to get out of that, other than this nice little ward on the plateau. But if they ward it themselves, of course, that Gem of True Sight will negate its impact. So they're just going to go ahead, man mode on the front lines here. Doesn't look like Enchantress has any creeps, but they sure aren't lacking for summons when they have these Forest Spirits and Lycan Wolves.
Yeah, we'll see a fight break out here as the MEEPO hops in. He still has the Aegis. That'll proc the Aegis straight away. Winter pops the ultimate in the middle of the fight. Forev on the back foot. His impetus is laying into him. Sharky gets caught in a shackle. It's a 1-for-1 now. Buyback from the Timbersaw. And the Dire side just getting cleaned up at this point. Ryzen, though, on the aggressive, throwing out Earthbinds left and right. He needs to keep this weak MEEPO alive. Maybe he can bring down Winter. That'll be the end of Ryzen. And JR take a 1-for-4 trade. And there's a buyback on the Shadow Shaman and the Timbersaw now. Slark gets cleaned up. Triple kill for Chibi. And JR, all of a sudden, regaining this momentum. It's a dieback on the Shadow Shaman. It's a full wipe and then more, plus the Aegis.
Beautifully executed team fight I've seen this month, since TI4, to be honest. That was incredible from JR, the way they were able to utilize that vacuum, the meteor combo, everything. Even Sharky on the sidelines was able to deal with Shadow Shaman's second life with a stolen Eye of the Storm. It kept ticking away at Shadow Shaman's health, despite him having the shackles on the Rubik. So support versus support on the side lanes. The little unsung hero here. And it's just JR, by and large, absolutely obliterating MVP. 2 buybacks, extra deaths, losing the Aegis and then losing the MEEPO again. I wouldn't believe that kill tally if you told me it 2 minutes ago.
Yep. And they dropped the gem. So it's an even bigger swing in terms of net worth. The 900 value Gem of True Sight now being carried around by Chibi. And following that fight, the Orchid now complete on the Enchantress. A huge item indeed. And Winter probably going for his Shivas, has his plate mail, and is now tanking up a little bit. Even Invoker, level 3 Necronomicon, and 2,200 gold up on him, taking over as the #1 farmer on the net worth chart, now 1,000 up on QO's Slark. It seems like Johnny's Revenge are out of it, and just as they're up against the ropes, that smoke turns things around, and they take a huge team fight. Lycan with... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just the aspect of JR's lineup is so much more powerful in a 5-man setting. MVP have been finding pick-off after pick-off and just exclusively feasting on these 1 or 2 individual heroes all by themselves. But now we see the gold swing, the graph, is just so back to even. And it's going to take this smoke gank to turn it around right back in MVP's favor.
Yeah, they see Paulson, and QO hops forward, connects with an easy pounce because of that Blink Dagger. But there's the Ghost Walk. Sentry Ward comes down, and Invoker falls. Easy kill because they were equipped with the Sentry.
Yep. Good Blink Sentry initiation by the Shadow Shaman. We used one to de-ward a little bit, and the other one will net them a kill. So good position for them to be in. Looks like Invoker's going to be going for a BKB himself, though, and although they set him back slightly from that recipe, he's still going to be able to pick it up pretty soon, but top lane.
Yep, Winter just gets juiced by the MEEPO. Ryzen set the trap, was hiding in the trees, and, well, Darkseer tries to TP home, but that's not happening against the MEEPO. And that'll be a 2-for-0 across the map here in the last 30 seconds as MVP just start to pick him apart. Whoa, in the mid lane, we see an initiation from Ryzen once again. He finds Chibi. Chibi going man mode. He will micro back the low MEEPO, and nowhere for the Lycan to go. He might have the ultimate on, but the Earthbind will lock him in place. This Wolf will chase down Ryzen, but no, it doesn't matter. He's got plenty of other MEEPOs nearby.
Yeah, in this position, like, you can't be by yourself, in my opinion, because the Earthbind ×5 is impossible to evade. Once you get Earthbinded once, there, if you micro it correctly, as Raisin has been doing, you can, by the time you run out of Earthbinds, your first one comes off cooldown, and you can cycle it indefinitely. So there is no escape. If MEEPO finds you, you are dead. And that means that you just have to be with your team.
Yep, once that level 3 Divided We Stand, plus the Ags comes out, you're right, the Earthbind is on a whole nother level in terms of how long he can lock you in place. QO now has a BKB, so Magic Immunity is live for the Slark. Razor has had his for a while, and now moving towards the Ag Scepter, which he's not too far away from. Point booster, 2,200 gold, leaves him just 600 short or so as he clears up that creep wave.
Yeah, the BKB on Slark is absolutely huge because he's up against the Orchid Enchantress now, and that's not only the silence that he has to worry about, but that pure damage that he keeps bringing out. Right now, it looks like JR are really all they can do in a team fight for the first 8 seconds is focus down on that MEEPO and just try to burn him down with their pure damage and their AoE nukes. And from there, once that settles and the Shadow Dance and BKB has expired, then they can actually start turning to the Razor into the Slark.
Yeah, Invoker working on a BKB of his own now. Sort of an interesting choice. You don't see this build too often. Necro into BKB on Invoker. But yeah, feeling that he needs the magic community here.
At least he's not up against like a Basher into Abyssal from Slark anytime soon. So he is going to be pretty much, I wouldn't say immortal because he can still be right-click down pretty hard, but he's going to be not valuable enough to kill while the BKB is active, and they'll focus other targets. But yeah, it allows them to nullify everything from Shadow Shaman, from Timbersaw, and even perhaps maybe go for a BKB TP away from MEEPO. So the potential is certainly there, but as you said, it's very unorthodox.
And now MEEPO's getting even tankier, has the Reaver in the inventory. Moving towards the heart of Tarask. Oh, this MEEPO. There's your BKB complete on the Invoker, though. So he'll at least have that for the next team fight. Let's glance at the graphs here. It's so back and forth, but has dipped back down about 7,000 gold in favor of MVP.Phoenix and holding on to about a 14,000 experience edge. Ag's now up on the Razor. And it will be a pretty timely Roche respawn, just about 2.5 minutes past the initial timer. So MVP will have to be very patient, as it seems they are eager to take Roche, camping out the pit.
Yeah, I want to point out something while we have a little bit of a loo in the action, though. If we look at the experience graph and then juxtapose that with the hero levels, they have a 14,000 experience advantage, MVP.Phoenix that is. But if you look at the levels, all of it is MEEPO. Like, they have one extra level 16. The Slark and the Razor are prime players here, but Timbersaw's on par with everybody else, and Shadow Shaman's far behind. So it really is all in the MEEPO to not only be as successful as he has and killing and farming, but to really pull the weight as we see action in mid.
Yep, Forev gets silence from the Orchid now. Vacuum back. Yeah, it's a pretty easy kill. Lycan secures it. Nowhere for him to go. Lycan went armlet after the Vlads and is now moved into a Skull Basher. So he does have something to deal with the 2 BKBs that are out on the Dire side, at least, with the Bash. It seems like a Bloodstone is inbound for Forev on the Timbersaw. He did opt for that Blink Dagger first, so it could have been perhaps a little tankier there, but just sitting on a Soul Booster.
Yeah, he wants to keep up with his team.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
That is for sure. So with all this on the back of the MEEPO, it's kind of it's good and it's bad. If JR can initiate on the MEEPO and take down Ryzen early in a fight, then great. That's basically the nail in the coffin for MVP in the context of team fights. But vice versa is scary. If that MEEPO runs amok, they do not have much to shut him down once he starts to take a team fight. Roche will be up in about 30 seconds, and we'll see who grabs it. Of course, MVP on the Dire side have the advantage. Looking at vision control, Dire have one on the high ground, and Radiant have a ward on the high ground in their jungle, but doesn't give much vision into the pit. So MVP could possibly even just sneak into the pit here without JR knowing.
Yeah, Blink Daggers make that extremely easy, in fact, and the Radiant, lack of Radiant Vision, it requires the Wolves to essentially stay there at all times. And we do see a very overstepped Slark. Thought the Invis Room would save him, but no sir. The BKB might, though, as he pounces away.
Yep, BKB ultimate, more than enough, back up to 50% HP. And I don't know what the plan was right there. Was he warding? No, he was
Well, he had an Invis Rune, so he was just thinking he'd be able to not run into the Gem Carrier.
Yep, yeah, that's
the
a good
Enchantress.
Point. Yeah, it's now the Enchantress. It was originally the Lycan, but they've switched it up. And now Johnny is the one that grabs it. He'll start working on his Ag Scepter, has the point booster, and That Hand of Midas really starting to pay dividends for him. Almost level 16 as well. So that impetus will get a lot more scary. MVP now looking at the Roche pit. Ryzen does blink in, and yeah, they'll take heed to your advice here. Everyone except March. He'll just walk on in, but the others will blink.
Yeah,
Looks like it will be an uncontested Roche, though. Oh, man, look at all those Geo Strikes.
Oh, why did he pick it up, though? Why wouldn't you give it to the Meepo here?
I cannot think of a good reason. I mean, Razor is a good hero, but he's another one of these heroes that when he dies, he doesn't get it back. You know, if he pops out Eye of the Storm at the beginning of a fight, then dies and comes back with the Aegis, yeah, he's back in the fight, but Eye of the Storm goes away.
Well, actually, that's one thing that I believe for some time, but it's actually one of the few buffs that does persist.
It does persist? Active. No way.
Yeah, it persists as a small AoE while he's dead, and then he comes back with the remaining duration. So it's actually, he's a pretty good Aegis carrier, despite the fact that he loses.
Yeah, I take that back. I could have sworn that it expired when he died. Okay.
There might have been a time where it was different, but yeah, I learned that a couple months ago, and it's a pretty unique mechanic. But even though I believe Razor is a great Aegis carrier, MEEPO, I think, is the best Aegis carrier in the entire game. So with that in mind, I still can't imagine Ryzen not having it right now.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Blaze with the knowledge bombs here, our mechanics master, as it were. Interesting. I wonder why that is. Like, of all the abilities that don't persist through death, why does Eye of the Storm? That's so strange.
The only other thing I can think of is like Lone Druid's bear doesn't die when he's reincarnating. That's about all I got. It's otherwise like that's the only thing.
Yeah, see that one I think makes a little bit more sense because the druid isn't technically dead, so the bear like that one I could at least see. The Eye of the Storm, it's just a self buff. Like why would your buff persist through when you're dead? But okay, fair enough. Maybe we'll get to see it here.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Top tier 2 tower. That's the last remaining outer tower, actually. Will fall. And while I'm looking at that, Ryzen will find a solo kill on Lycan. Looks like he set the trap in the trees and hopped right on top of Big Wolfenstein as he walked by. Does Lycan have a buyback? He sure does. So they could still make a hold here. Heen blinks forward, throws down the wards. March with the ultimate still flying through. Meatball comes in, but BKB mech is popped. And this tower takes at least half damage. Now QO comes in, grabs Johnny. Connects on the pounce, pops his BKB as well. Uses the ultimate, can't secure the kill, but zoning out the forces of JR while these wards go to work on the tower.
So Meepo's going to actually siege down on bottom lane while they push in on top. This is pretty interesting and very hard to defend.
Yeah, the split push coming out as the wards will get cleaned up. And so will some of these Radiant Forge Spirits. Bottom tier 3 tower falls. Vacuum in. Ryzen will not be able to get away unscathed. One of the Meepos will fall, it looks like. Yeah, down he goes, but space created in the top lane. That tier 3 tower goes down. Ranged Rax falls. Melee will stay standing, but a lot of damage was done there. They trade the Meepo for 2 tier 3 towers and a Ranged Rax.
Yeah, they're just kind of pinging out for an all-in now. They know that they have to force the Meepo buyback or things are going to get out of control very quickly. The unimportant Rax did fall. The range Rax is not nearly as relevant, but their base is so vulnerable to quick siege. Like they can just jump in. If Meepo gets BOTs, for example, he can just rat that out, no problem at all. So the Aegis is going to be reclaimed from Razor in about 3 minutes' time. But I would say the timing from MVP couldn't have been more perfect. If you look at Fortification for Radiant, it's just about to come off cooldown. Fortify, that's half your tier 3 tower's health and all of your range racks while they focused on Meepo. But because no fort, they actually lose out, and now they're in a more desperate situation.
QO takes an Orchid in the mid lane. Meatball flies through, and that'll be enough to finish off the Slark. So JR with a response. Slark does have a buyback available. So at best, they'll be able to chip at the tier 3 tower, but MVP should be able to make a hold.
Ryzen just bought out his Hex here, so he is not going to have buyback once he respawns this time around. He is here, and he really needs to make good use of this item pickup.
Yep. Dire wards, or Rasta wards come down defensively on the high ground, but they get cleaned up by all of the summons. Only 3 wards remaining.
Whoa. They just popped BKB out of the storm and then walked away. This is huge for JR.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I guess they thought they were going to commit more. Razor semi out of the fight. He still has his Aegis of the Immortal, which is something. Slark up in about 25 seconds. There is a Dire Glyph. They'll use it now. Plasma Field to try and clear up some of these creeps. And they will make a hold. JR not feeling too comfortable just shoving into the towers. Slark up in 10 seconds. I'm not so sure how well this is going to work out for him. Meepo is split pushing in the bottom lane. Of course, can just poof back into the fight. So Ryzen doing a good job. Basically 2 places at once, ready to defend mid, but also pulling their forces down towards the bottom lane.
Yeah, they wasted a lot of good cooldowns. They reduced the BKB down to 6 seconds now on the Razor, and the wards won't be available for 45 seconds. But all the same, they definitely need to look for an offensive opening very shortly. They're essentially praying that MVP makes one more mistake. They find one more opening, and they can bring it down. Because if Shadow Shaman brings wards to, let's say, the top lane, the bottom lane, that's going to be a Rax drop down. You can't fight and destroy the wards and everything all at once. So now they have to find a pick off outside the base before MVP actually gets back to the high ground.
There's now a basher up on this Slark with 2,500 gold. That Abyssal Blade you talked about could be coming out sooner rather than later. Sharky in the trees. They know he's nearby, but they can't find exactly where he is. He will just TP back to safety. 10,000 gold and experience lead for the Dire side, but it's interesting to see how the experience graph is now moving in favor of JR as MEEPO has hit level 25, and the rest of the experience starts to level out, further showing how significant of a gap there is between MEEPO and everyone else. He's level 25. Next highest are 18, being Slark, DS, and the Lycan. Again, split push will commence for MVP.Phoenix. Ryzen in the top lane, the rest of them in the bottom.
And Aghanim Scepter is just going to chew through this Rax if they don't do something quick.
Yep, Glyph is available. Dire wards come down. Winter with a big vacuum into wall. BKB by March Pop trying to stay on the high ground. Wants this ultimate to do as much damage as possible. Rasta goes down, but again, he gets the wards out, and that's really what matters here. Now the Razor falls. It's a 2-0, but MEEPO in the top. He'll be able to grab that lane of Rax. The rest of the fight breaking out. Timbersaw falls. QO pops his ultimate. Maybe looking for a kill, but decides he just needs to get the hell out of there. Pops his BKB, and he won't be able to survive, it doesn't look like. Can't even find a return kill. Down he goes. MEEPO going to work at the base. Now takes out the last remaining Tier 3 tower, chopping away at the melee barracks. Impetus flying through. He is dead, but can he get the barracks before he falls? No, he cannot. Tries to poof down for a kill, and MVP will be completely wiped. A 5-0 trade, but they get the top lane of Rax and, well, chip away at this bottom lane.
However, if things seemed desperate before, they are beyond that now. There are 3 buybacks up on the heroes that need it, and they are, if they even go for an all-in play, they're probably going to be repelled in full. So they want to force a buyback on MEEPO, but they have to get away because they can't really fight against, what, I guess like 9 heroes, if you consider all the buybacks that MVP has right now.
Yeah, this is still a rough time for Johnny's Revenge. MVP.Phoenix now just have that luxury of they've done so much damage to the base that they can go in, and even if they suicide in exchange for one of the barrack structures at this point, they can do okay, assuming they have these buyback repositories available at their disposal. We'll see Chibi get initiated upon. Heen hops out of the base, but he gets jumped on the vacuum right into the bomb that gets dropped from Invoker, brings him down. The buyback from Shadow Shaman. He has wards coming up in 10 seconds, and they need him for this fight. The Tier 3 tower in the mid, taking a lot of damage. This could possibly be a lane of Rax for Johnny's Revenge. No glyph available for the Dire. QO hops forward. He finds Johnny. Pounce connects, but the Nature's Attendants will buy him some time. BKB popped by QO. He's looking aggressive. The Dark Pact will be off the mark. So will the Pounce. But now MEEPO joining the party. Blink Dagger forward. Poof onto Sharky. The Earthbinds will lock him in place. Secures the kill on the Rubik. But now Ryzen is exposed. The wall of replica comes down. A lot of damage coming his way. The MEEPO falls. Enchantress gets picked off as well. Now the buyback from the MEEPO. March trying to go man mode onto Chibi. Won't win the battle, but stays alive. Now Chibi on the run. Pounce will be off the mark. His ultimate soon to expire. It'll be all about the Armlet Toggle, but he walks into a haste rune. How lucky for Chibi. He may still... Oh, no! He tries to TP out! Chibi! Oh, no! Oh, no. That was about as chobo as it gets right there, man. He had a haste rune. Why not just keep running? Oh, boy.
Got bash lorded. Took the risk unnecessarily. Gets dropped down. They're buying back where they can, but MVP are in such a commanding position right now. This is JR's final stand.
It certainly is. All of the buybacks are expended. They don't have any more available. The few that have it off cooldown do not have the gold. Actually, does it? Yeah, Lycan is pretty much the only one that has it off cooldown, and of course, he's the one that's dead, stuck without the money for it. There is no glyph available. These racks are just fair game. Razor with the ultimate on, cutting them down. QO takes the Orchid, but he doesn't care. They're just going to focus the structures here. They want mega creeps. It will cost QO everything. March pops his BKB, makes the retreat. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Ryzen going hard on the barracks. Will finish off the melee racks in the bottom lane, but he may have to pay with his life. One of these MEEPO is pretty darn weak. Sunstrike flies through. He's trying to poof out. The weak one's still in there. He gets silenced. Impetus to bring him down. And MVP will be repelled once again.
No buyback on Slark and no buyback on MEEPO. That is 55 seconds to win the game. The countdown starts now.
Can JR do this? This is a Hail Mary play right here, but they have an opening. No glyph available on the... Oh, they do have a glyph. Pardon me. Glyph on the Dire side. That'll buy him a few seconds. Could they just push straight at the mid for the win here?
They certainly can try. I don't know. Slark has that Abyssal. He has the BKB for 6 seconds. This is going to be a really difficult defense if all of JR assemble, but it looks like Winter is stuck in the base. He's got his BOTs. He'll heal up. He'll come on the front line, and they still have the wall. The biggest cooldown for all of their team fights right here now, but Heen in the base, looking to drop some wards, or maybe cancel a TP. If he could have canceled Winter TP, that would have been huge, but no. He's back in the base, looking to ward, and there is backdoor protection still up for a moment.
Yep, just a moment's time. They need some creeps in the base. ASAP, the glyph comes out as well, but now the racks will fall. Slark coming up very soon, but MEEPO down for another 25 seconds. Mid lane of racks fall. Do they go for the towers or do they go bottom? Still a tier 2 tower standing at the top, so that's not an option. But they will go for the tier 4s. MEEPO up in 15. QO comes in. Hops onto Sharky. Mech gets popped. That'll buy him some time. One of the towers falls, but there's still a tier 4 standing, and JR will have to make the retreat. Rubik falls as QO finishes him off. 4Ev hops out of the base, going for Johnny, but he'll take an Orchid to the face. Now QO rejoining the party. Razor along the backside has an Eye of the Storm on, and he'll find the Enchantress kill. Now Chibi goes back in onto QO. Winter with the vacuum wall right in the middle of the fray. Not enough to keep the Enchantress, or pardon me, she's already fallen, but they do get the kill on the Slark. Now Heen going right in the middle of the fray. Winter on the run. They'll chase him down, but he'll blink back to safety. MEEPO has respawned. Winter, he TP's out, but just barely. Invoker secures a kill on the Shadow Shaman. It is a 2 for 2, but the base taking heavy damage. There is one structure standing between JR and defeat, and that is this ranged racks down here in the bottom. The hero structure, if you will.
I think MVP have this one. It's been so back and forth, so insane, but here's the Roshan. That'll seal the deal. If Raisin picks up this Aegis, there is no way they bring him down twice. Enchantress was the only one that could bring him down once in the first place, with the Aghanim Scepter Impetus Pure damage, along with the Orchid Amplification. But now, he's going to have that second life, or at least he should, and that will give them so much more.
And this time, yes, they do indeed give it to the MEEPO, as they well should. Some cooldowns have respawned, though. Radiant side, both Winter and Chibi have buybacks available. And on the Dire side, it's just the Slark as well as the Razor. So this won't be the final GG push quite yet from MVP. JR is still basically on their last leg here.
Yeah, they can starve them out, wait for the Shadow Shaman to find another smoke opportunity in the base. That range racks, as long as backdoor protection is down, does not regenerate. So just get one creep wave anywhere near the base, drop the Serpent Wards, and that's pretty much game. So at this point, JR are purely on the defensive when they kind of need to go for that last all-in. They're showing the lines on the map. They know what they need to do, but to do it against 2 waves of full decked-out MEEPOs, I just don't see it.
Yeah, I'm sort of in agreement with you here. It will be a rough road for sure. I mean, just look at this look at this experience graph for sure. That tells a pretty crazy story. Part of it is the tale of the level 25 MEEPO, but also how much momentum JR have regained throughout this game. They have the experience lead now, and, well, not a gold lead, but the deficit is smaller than it once was. Enchantress now with a Mask of Madness to go with her Ag Scepter and Orchid. Uh-oh, we'll see a smoke from JR. They leave the base, and they'll try and catch someone off guard. This is the perfect way to do it. MEEPO pushing the bottom lane. They have to drop someone quick and defend. 4Ev, the target of choice, takes an Orchid. He will fall. Now QO taking heavy damage as well. Wall of Replica comes down. BKBs get popped. Ryzen joins the fray. Timbersaw will be back in 40 seconds. Ryzen, that's the Aegis, and they've done no damage. It's a completely wasted Aegis. Maybe JR can make a stand. Can they bring down Ryzen for a second time? They hop forward. The damage coming out. Impetus laying in. That's a dead MEEPO. Meanwhile, the bottom lane, though, the glyph comes out. Wards have already come down. Cheeky plays from QO and Necessary. They need to get back to defend here. It is the range racks. QO going straight for the structures. Glyph is down. MVP could be all in, but QO, no. He'll get cleaned up. The wards go down as well. Razor, he wants the structure, but March, he could get picked off here as well. MVP,
oh my God.
It's a 1 for 4, plus the Aegis. Oh, my. March will buy some time, but he is certain to fall.
Yeah, this is insane. The
oh
creeps
my
are still
Lanza.
pushing in. They are mega creeps, but they're not full on megas yet, and they still have this last chance. MEEPO quick respawn. Thanks to Divided We Stand, he's going to be back. But they've already shown that they can take him down not once, but twice. Can they do it again? Big vacuum plays required. Maybe vacuum Meteor Orchid and just burn him down with all that AoE and Shivas. but it's so hard to do with all these creeps continuously pressing in. I mean, the concern, if Heen had like BOTs right now, any creep could be the fatal one for their base. So JR are purely on the defensive, but they have held for now.
Yeah, and they're still hanging in there. They have a lot of pushing power as well. If they catch MVP, even if their base is under heavy assault, they could go for a base race scenario with Hal. They can drop these structures very quickly. Slark does have a buyback coming up in 20. Razor will go ahead and use his preemptively. They're pressing forward. They want the tier 4s. No glyph for another 10 seconds. They might be able to get this tower, but I'm skeptical to think that they can get the throne. Rubik will steal the wards.
I think they're just going to go Ancient. I think they're just going to right-click it right now, and they have the AC. They have the damage.
Oh, there's the BKB from Chibi. And the glyph gets popped. That buys him some time. Paulson taking heavy damage. Ryzen in the fray. Do they go for the heroes or the base? Chibi says he wants the throne. Wards will get cleaned up, thrown at about half health. Winter, he's just trying to focus it down as well. JR are all in right now. Paulson, he gets hexed up. Sharky in trouble. Can they bring it down? The throne at 600 hit points. Winter about to get cleaned up. Enchantress, the only one left alive is the defender, and JR will be unsuccessful in their flight. Or plight, rather. 500 hit points left on the Dire Ancient, and they get repelled.
And MVP supporters just let out a sigh of relief. That was so damn close. The wards, the illusions, the damage put out on the Ancient. But that fortification cooldown saves the day, and they are going to push in for the win now with these last racks. Chibi calls it. That was a hell of a game.
Wow, so back and forth. This was just a crazy series. Games 1 and 2, completely one-sided, 10 to 15, 20-minute GGs, slapping them around. Game 3, finally we see how evenly matched these teams are. Johnny's Revenge and MVP.Phoenix. A nail-biter till the bitter end, but Ryzen's MEEPO proves too much to handle. 15, 9, and 10. He hit critical mass damn quick, and wow, that game was a pleasure to cast, Blaze.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no better way to end a series like this. I mean, the first game was incredible in how effectively JR were able to execute, and MVP answering back in kind. But this is the finisher you want. This is to see who can take such a game and just bring it down to the wire. The fatigue sets in, your brains are going crazy, but they were the ones that were able to pull forward. MVP.Phoenix, Korean Dota will triumph, and they will be going to the finals of the WEC Southeastern Asian qualifiers. Yep,
and they will be facing off against Titan. One more best of 3 between themselves and qualification, and it will be coming up tomorrow, about 12-ish, no, 24-ish hours from now. I don't know what the exact start time is. It varies based on which teams make it into the finals because of the schedule, so we'll have that posted for you guys coming up. But that does wrap up our coverage today. Of course, I'm Zayori in the studio. Joining me remotely is Blaze. Give us both some love on Twitter. It's in the title of this broadcast, but at Zayori TV and at Blaze Casting, make sure you follow at Beyond the Summit as well to stay up to date with all the things we're doing here in this North American studio. Blaze, it's always a pleasure. Hopefully you'll be here to join me for the finals tomorrow, but wow, another great day of Dota. Both the semifinals best of 3s going to the ace match.
Yeah, was super happy to be able to cast this for you, man, and going into tomorrow, it's going to be a tough call. MVP.Phoenix certainly showed some chops here, even though Titan is such a dominant force. I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it for us today, guys. Thanks for joining us. VODs are already on the way, uploading and processing. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow.